Story 1. She didn't back up right into my car when she left the parking spot yesterday evening. Story 2. I once knew a man who honked at women, and I asked him why he did it. He replied that they might show their breasts to him. I asked if any ever had, and he said no. Story 3. We know it impresses them a lot, especially if our engines are very loud and we rev them repeatedly. Story 4. They want to express themselves, regardless of whether the other woman replies. It's like when you tell someone they are pretty, they feel good acting on that strong urge. However, it can end up being entirely inappropriate and should not be done. Story 5. Catcalling, in this case honking, is a coercive demand for visibility. It is not about complimenting a woman. It is about making her stop, take notice, and acknowledge the man who felt invisible. In that moment, her right to move through the world uninterrupted is overridden by his desire to be seen. It is a forced interaction that can feel like a form of assault because it invades her autonomy and disregards her consent. Story 6. I can honestly say that I have never catcalled a woman, nor have I honked at them. However, I hope that those who do are trying to give her a boost of confidence. I remember when I was about 14, a group of girls drove by and yelled out the window, "Hey Blondie, contact me when you turn 16. I am now 50, and I still think about that day." Story 7. I was in the car twice when it happened as a passenger. The driver was completely confident, and the honking was directed at him to boost his own ego. Story 8. Hi, I am a guy. I do not have a driving license yet, but I took the theory test and passed. Take my answer as you wish. Based on the question posted and the theory lessons I took, the only reason to honk is to prevent an accident. That must have been it. Story 9. I remember seeing somewhere that it is basically a numbers game. They get ignored 90% of the time, receive an unfavorable reaction 9% of the time, and a favorable reaction 1% of the time. The men who catcall do actually achieve some success at times. Story 10. They usually seek an ego boost by making women feel uncomfortable or threatened. It's the same reason men catcall women. Story 11. They derive a thrill from the harassment. It makes them feel good to make others feel bad. They are just pathetic bullies. Story 12. I have only done this once to my wife when I saw her walking on the street. I honked and yelled something. Later that day, I told her about it, and she said she didn't hear me. Story 13. Honestly, it is just unnecessary and rude. What are you trying to achieve? It is not a compliment. It is just annoying. If you want to get someone's attention, try being polite instead of honking like you are in a cheesy movie. I don't understand it at all. Story 14. I want her to run at 40 miles per hour, catching up to me. She should punch out my window and then strangle me to death with my seatbelt. Story 15. I need to inform her that I am unable to drive, and she should move away from the sidewalk because I lost control of the vehicle. I nearly hit 3 people this week because they do not step aside. They think I am trying to hit on them, but in reality, I am trying to avoid hitting them. Story 16. That is one of the things in life that makes my blood boil instantly. It's beyond being a loser. The only thing they achieve is making a teenager feel uncomfortable and unsafe. All because they act foolishly with an IQ not higher than that of used toilet paper. Story 17. My friend has been stuck in a miserable relationship for 15 years. Every time he sees a woman, he makes inappropriate comments about her appearance. His girlfriend is my sister, and I believe he has cheated on her. Story 18. I think it's the same mindset as girls who go woo out the window on a night out. It doesn't really mean anything, but they are excited and expressing their emotions. Maybe that is a good pairing. Excited girls and honking guys? They should meet up. It shouldn't be hard to find each other. Story 19. I used to do this as a teenager, expecting absolutely nothing. I did it to let them know that people in the world thought they were attractive. Groups of girls would honk or holler as they drove by me when I was in my teens and 20s. It was a nice little ego boost for the rest of the day. Story 20. I was just fixing my pants as a guy drove by, rolled down the window, and said there was no need to. It already looked good. Story 21. Not just girls, most people are careless even on the road, talking or texting and not concentrating while driving. Some people wear noise-canceling headphones and do not even hear the courtesy tap from other vehicles. These behaviors are also common among pedestrians. Many are fully immersed in their social media world and do not bother looking around while crossing the street or jaywalking. A loud honk is often the only way to get their attention. An anecdote from my life. I was on my motorcycle, waiting for a traffic signal to turn green on a main road when a lady in her car hit me from behind. Fortunately, she was driving slowly, and I had both feet planted on the ground while braking with my right hand. I was shocked by the impact and angry when I looked back to see she was texting on her phone. It took her a couple of seconds to realize what had happened. Story 22. Some individuals try to hide their insecurities with loud cars and think they are cool. They are simply being pathetic. Story 23. Having been with men who do this, in the few times I saw it happen, they were under the impression that it somehow complimented or flattered the girl. Story 24. Ask my uncle. He is the one who reaches over my lap and honks while I am driving, then proceeds to sit there innocently when the girls look our way. Story 25. I think they don't expect anything. They just act on impulse upon seeing a woman they consider attractive. As a man, I don't understand it either. Story 26. I want her to run after my car like a futuristic robot and turn her hands into hooks so she can jump and grab my car, then climb in so we can talk. Story 27. It lacks a reason. It is an irrational act committed by foolish individuals. By definition, foolishness lacks a rationale, does not make sense, has no objective, and is devoid of logic. That is the essence of foolishness. Story 28. I had a friend who sought attention in various ways, whether through casual encounters, flirting, or even provoking disgust. This approach worked for him because he created a shield of indifference and lacked self-awareness, allowing him to play the numbers game. 10 women might sneer at him as he shouts out of the car window, but the 11th might smile and give him the attention he desires. Even if that doesn't happen, it contributes to his overall persona of not having a filter and knowing what he can get away with. Story 29. I have been whistled at by women from cars a few times over the years. It made me blush and overall made me feel great for the rest of the day. However, as I have gotten older, it doesn't happen as much. I have never beeped my horn at a woman, but I have wolf whistled a few times because they looked attractive from afar. It's not like I'm going to pull up and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" Story 30. This question feels like asking into the void. No one on Reddit is bold enough or socially conscious enough to address it. Consider asking this on Twitter. Story 31. They are not necessarily trying to achieve anything. They just lack the grace to keep to themselves what most men think when they see attractive women. Story 32. Here's my perspective as a man who has never honked at a woman, but in my youth was in many cars that did. You may be wondering how it is that I've been in many cars with men that have honked at random women. The answer is that I grew up in a party town with a rowdy group. In a city like my former home, honking at random women during certain times of the year can lead to attention, which some find amusing. Another explanation is that it serves as a compliment, essentially saying, "You look good." A less charitable interpretation is that some men may believe that by honking at a woman, she will respond positively and invite them into her life. Story 33. I have never witnessed men honking at women, but I once had a car full of women honking and cheering at me, so I suppose it likely happens vice versa. I do not believe they were trying to attract me. Story 34. I usually compliment my wife when I see her out downtown. Other than that, I honk at a woman who dances at intersections all day, and she loves to wave at people, so I enjoy entertaining her. There is nothing malicious in this. I am just having a good time. Story 35. It's the same as sending unsolicited pictures on a dating app. They do not expect any success in getting the girl to go out with them. They are looking for the attractive woman to engage in their lives in some way. The reaction, the interaction, even if negative, is enough. Story 36. Trying to make the girl's day a little brighter as she spent time and effort to look good. Some men will appreciate the female form. Story 37. Power and control lead some individuals to exert their presence over others, making them feel unsafe and uncomfortable. Story 38. As someone who has dealt with this since starting my first job, I can say it is absolutely terrifying when I am walking alone. Story 39. In a fun way to let them know they got it. I recently experienced this in Soho, where three enthusiastic young women were excitedly waving and cheering back. For me, it's just a flirty gesture. Story 40. I watched my dad do it while growing up. To me, it's funny. Maybe it says, "Hey, cutie," but I was thinking, is this rude? Do women dislike it? Story 41. To get their attention, I want to be friendly and either say hello or goodbye, depending on the situation. Story 42. I speak for a small group of individuals. They do it to feel good about themselves, to receive acknowledgement that they look good, that their vehicle looks good, and that they look good riding their bike or driving their car. It gives them excitement and a warm feeling when they go home. Women validating men, particularly when they feel low about themselves, is one of the highest forms of satisfaction for young men. Of course, this is a misguided tactic because it resembles unintended catcalling. I don't speak for those individuals who actually use it for catcalling. That's unfortunate. They've tarnished it. Honking while driving past women was viewed as fun, playful flirting during university life. Women laughed it off, and young men with crushes would feel good about themselves. Story 43. I feel like this Saturday Night Live skit is applicable, if not exactly the same. Story 44. Not the direct kind of person you probably wanted to ask. However, when I was younger and more of a troublemaker, my friends and I thought it was hilarious to honk at people and startle them to see their reactions. This, of course, included girls. So to answer the question, I was less social and enjoyed giving people a good jump scare. Story 45. Ahem, so clearly whoever crafted this question must have never met a man. Otherwise, the answer would be clear. When honking while driving past a girl, every man wants her to stop whatever she is doing and begin sprinting at full speed toward the honking car like Robert Patrick's T-1000 in Terminator 2. Judgment Day. I recommend watching this film, as it will make life a whole lot more sense. This sprint toward the honking vehicle should include a nosedive with what I can only assume will be the girl's freshly formed hook hands. At that point, she will scale the vehicle as it careens out of control with absolute ecstasy. Should the girl actually reach the honking driver, they will proceed to engage in intimate activities in the moving, and probably aflame vehicle. In summary, insomnia can have a profound effect on perception. Story 46. I hope they mistake me for a goose, so they adopt me and take me to Disney World. Have you seen the prices? Story 47. Oh, you wouldn't believe the magic I'm weaving with those little bursts of sound. It's like I'm a sonic cupid, sending out tiny musical arrows of admiration. Each beep is a carefully crafted note in a symphony of, "Hey, you're looking absolutely radiant today," and my magnificent vehicle simply had to acknowledge your presence with a joyful trumpet fanfare. Sometimes I imagine they hear it as a secret code. The first short honk means, "You've got that inner sparkle." And the longer one that follows is, "And the universe is smiling upon you." It's all very subtle. I'm planting seeds of positivity, one delightful honk at a time. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if one day a woman pulls up next to me at a light, tears in her eyes, and says, "Thank you. That honk you gave me 3 Tuesdays ago, it changed my life." Is that powerful? Just spreading a little honk-induced happiness across the land. Story 48. If I honked at a girl I drove past, I honestly thought I knew who she was. I was trying to say, "Hi, friend," and ended up with an embarrassed, "Oh my gosh, you aren't the person I know." Story 49. I am female and had to get a ride from a Brazilian man who was friends with my cousin. She is female and the same age as me. He spent the entire 20-minute drive barking like a dog at every attractive woman until he dropped me off. I was puzzled and asked why he did that. He said he enjoyed seeing the girls turn and honestly thought they liked the compliment. He was not expecting any kind of response. I have spent time with him a handful of times since, and he is actually a decent guy otherwise. I had forgotten about his barking until I saw this post. At the time, it definitely bothered me because he did not understand it was unwelcome. My cousin just laughs at his antics. I assumed it was some Brazilian thing. Story 50. I've never done anything like this, but my guess is that they want an ego boost from either the girls or their male companions. Story 51. It's cringeworthy regardless of whether it's men or women doing it. I ride a sports bike and have been honked at and shouted at. Last summer, 3 different women tried to get on the back seat while I was stopped. On one occasion, 2 women in their late 20s or early 30s lifted their tops to entertain their friends. The joke is on them since I am average looking and older than they realize, being 45. Story 52. Attention. I will admit I have felt the urge to make a loud noise so a pretty girl looks at me. It is just an easy temptation to resist when I picture myself doing it. Story 53. They are a man and are impressed with the subject's apparent beauty. It's called life, and it's how the people on this planet live and interact. By appreciating each other, acknowledging that fact, and creating families. Story 54. I have never done it, nor will I, but I think it is just a way to say they look good. I do not think they are really expecting to achieve anything other than giving a good-looking girl a compliment on how she looks. Story 55. They understand that the girl probably has no clue how attractive she is, and they want to brighten her day by being the first to appreciate her beauty. Story 56. Maybe they'll feel flattered and fall in love with me, memorize my license plate, track down my car, and then my home, and later engage in a sexual relationship with me. Story 57. As a chatbot, I can say that many people get excited when they hear a loud revving engine, and those honks are just the cherry on top. Story 58. I have never done this, nor will I ever, but my past behavior involved frequently asking for girls' numbers. If I found someone attractive, I would ask on the spot. Most of the time, she declined. However, once a girl gave me her number, I had no idea what to do next. I believe this kind of behavior is similar. It's all about the thrill of the chase, but it becomes perplexing afterward. Story 59. If you are my pet, a date with the goose is what they are carrying. You cannot fault a man for taking a look. Story 60. Individuals who only honk at them are misguided. You should add a whistle and say, "I bay bay," or they will never be interested in you. Novices. Story 61. Let them know we are crazy and they are attractive. I wish they would express their feelings, but I know they never will. I let it all out and ended the night crying in sadness, but I still have hope for a better tomorrow. Story 62. I have no idea why people do this except if she is driving. In that case, it is important to avoid an accident since we all know how focused drivers usually are while doing so. Bonus points if she is driving a smart car or a Fiat 500, as there is a high chance she has a phone in her hand. Story 63. The same applies to any animal that chirps or hollers randomly in nature. The car has beautiful features. Story 64. I know this one. As a gay man, if I drive by an attractive man who is facing away from me, I will honk so he looks over and I can see what he looks like. Straight men often do this for the same reason. Story 65. Why do you think they are trying to achieve anything? It's like waving hello. When you wave, are you trying to achieve anything? I thought this section was for thought-provoking questions. Very little thought goes into many of the posts here. Story 66. It is important to let the girls know they look attractive. When they are dressed up for a night out, it is pleasant to acknowledge their appearance. You cannot tell me they do not appreciate being told they look nice. Story 67. She has received a nice boost to her morale, as she is looking good today, and her effort has not gone unnoticed. Story 68. I honked at several women before, hoping to get them out of the way. This was near a college campus on Fraternity Row at around 2 a.m. The police had set up a checkpoint about 100 feet from where I lived, and I didn't want to deal with it. They were drunk, walking through the middle of the intersection, and I had just returned from Steak and Shake with a group of friends after dropping off 3 people. I was a junior, and these freshman girls, dressed in what I would describe as minimal clothing for the cold, staggered out and clearly wanted to avoid the checkpoint as well. However, they stood there in the middle of the intersection trying to think it over. In a similar incident around 11 p.m., I was on a late-night pizza run. A group of about 5 or 6 girls jaywalked right in front of my car as I was turning. They took my horn very personally and stood there for about 20 seconds, looking at me as if I had just done something horrific. So I wanted to get them out of the way. Story 69. I am a male, and when I was in Amsterdam, I was honked at by a couple of women on the same day. This was not because I was in the way, but because they wanted me to look at them and smile. It was the best day of my life. Story 70. One of my coworkers used to do it and also compliment girls. He would say something like, "I like your hair," or "cute dress." He says he does it because he enjoys it. Overall, he is a very relaxed person. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.